Hi, so today we're going over Bryan Danielson's AEW match number 10, finally in the double digits. And this is against Anthony Bowens of the Acclaimed in Rampage as the opener. Now, going into this match, they say on commentary that the Acclaimed have just been calling Tony Khan an awful boss and stuff, so they just give Anthony Bowens the match with Bryan to kind of punish them, and I love that, like, Tony goes, okay, Bryan's my ultimate weapon, just sort these annoying people out for me, and I love that. Now, with the Acclaimed, especially early on, they obviously had the Max Caster rapping entrances, where Max Caster goes on to say, he's only known for cucumbers and being on his wife's reality show. Makes a John Laurinaitis joke. I thought that was pretty funny. I'd seen this before, but still, it's always funny to see. Because Bryan, bites his tongue and, it's great. I love that. When the match begins, they obviously do the lock-up stuff. And then Bowens kind of gets, the advantage. He does 2 arm drags and starts acting a bit cocky. And I kind of like that because, one, it's fun to see Anthony Bowens as a heel. Again, I haven't seen him as a heel, like this type of comedic heel in a while. But also, I've always liked Anthony Bowens as a wrestler, especially as a singles guy. But, we'll discuss what happened there another day. And, yeah, Max Caster's always on the outside too. But he does quite well, Anthony Bowens. And this does, aggravate Bryan to the extent where, when he does the chops and makes, little escapes so he can do his stuff, he looks pissed, and I love that. I really did. I liked how, competitive and just brutal Bryan looked because he felt like he was being disrespected. He's got no problem being beat by the better man, maybe, but by someone who's going to mock him for that when he knows how good Bryan is insane. The match it gets pretty good, there's not a lot of insane moves. It's very, not one side, it's very even. But then Aubrey gets distracted by Bowens as a rope break, and Max Caster attacks Bryan, obviously leading to, classic heel 2-on-1, including outside the match, where they're basically just, teaming up on Bryan, trying to get the pin and stuff. But, it doesn't happen. There's stuff like that. And then Max Caster hits him with the chain around his wrist. And then he does the camera going, all stuff like that. I'm a fan of Max Caster comedically. I think he's great. But then it comes back from the match, and then Bryan starts making his comeback, with the kicks specifically. He does get a lot of joint manipulation at the start of the match too, and I thought that was really fun. He starts the kick move again, but it's a bit different this time, where he puts the elbow and stuff is a bit different this time. It's really fun. Obviously the arm drags by Bowens. But then the kicks look a bit more weighty, but it's still a lot more quick. It's weird. It feels like he found a good balance with that. But then during that, they do a spot where, where he's going to the corner, where he runs around. So basically, like a psycho knee, but it's more of a lariat in a way. But I forgot they had the, the corner cam that they had a few matches ago, and I love that camera angle. So they do that, and then you see Bryan do a flip. Oh, it's great. I love that. One of the main things, move-wise, I saw was from Anthony Bowens that I really liked. And he was, he gets Bryan on the ropes after that, on the turnbuckle after he dodged it. And he sets it up, and it looks like it's a neck breaker, but he turns it around on the finish to make it a DDT. I thought how that looked was excellent. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a really good-looking move. I thought he executed that perfectly. The match itself feels like just more of a showcase for Anthony Bowens, mainly character-wise, especially wrestling-wise too, but character-wise, I think he portrays it very well. But the wrestling-wise, this might be because I know how good Anthony Bowens is now, so going back to it, I don't really appreciate how big of a show-out this maybe was. But I thought I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed Anthony Bowens. The finish is kind of what you expect. Bryan takes out Max Caster, and Bowens stands there frozen for a second, and Bryan goes, come on! And then, he takes advantage of it. He ends up setting up the kicking his head in, which, I obviously love. And then gets it in, obviously a label lock, and Bowens taps out. And that's basically the match. There wasn't really that much fancy stuff that went on, wrestling-wise. But the character work from Bowens was excellent. I really enjoyed it. And again, Bryan, it's a very simple Bryan match where, we've had a few of these already where it's a basic 2v1 with the outside interference. It's kind of like the Nick Comoroto one with QT Marshall a few weeks back, in the same premise where the outside interference are obviously going to cost Bryan, but he overcomes it because it's Bryan Danielson. But this one had a bit more of good mat work in it and good technical wrestling. I feel like they could have left Caster in the back, but then that obviously doesn't work for the heel work. But Anthony Bowens is a good wrestler, and it kind of just saddens me even more looking back on, oh, this guy is still that good, and just whatever's happened. They heavily advertised that Bryan's next big match is the final of the AEW Men's World Championship tournament, and there's been a change with that, but we'll go over that in the video of that match because I don't really want to confuse things. Yeah, overall, it was a fun match. It was, again, more of a Bowens show out, which is not a problem at all. I really can't repeat that enough. The match was good. The match had good flow to it. It was short. It was only like 9 minutes all in all. And it was just a solid match, fun match. It wasn't the best we've ever seen in this run, God no, but it's not painful to watch. It's not bad or anything. It's never going to be bad with Bryan or Bowens. So, just a fun match to watch. Not one I'd say, oh, you need to watch. But, for the run, it was good. I don't regret watching it. That's a good way to put it. So, yeah, what's your opinion on just Anthony Bowens as a singles wrestler? What's your favourite match he's had? I'll include the Acclaimed in that. And, yeah, honestly, we'll look at the next Bryan match next. Yeah, obviously, Christ.